You have to repeat that because I just press on.
Oh, okay.
So gents, you've got some mighty whiskies to taste here this afternoon. The reason I chose this one is that I've always had a love-hate relationship with peaty whiskey. And to be honest, when we bought Ardbeg Distillery in 1997, I had never tasted Ardbeg. Jim Murray used to come and visit me when I was distillery manager at Glenmorangie, and he was always banging on about how good Ardbeg was and how someone needs to rescue it, and I would say, yeah, whatever, Jim. But then, when we actually bought it, I travelled to Islay with Jim, and in these days it was so difficult to find a proprietary bottling of Ardbeg because the former owners put it all into their blends. That was 1997. So I went to the Macri Hotel with Jim and he introduced me to it, and while it wasn't one of our bottlings, obviously, because we were just buying it, it was a Gordon and MacPhail's Connoisseur's Choice bottling in 1978, and it opened my eyes up to the fact that, you know, there was a bit more to it than just peat smoke. There was a subtlety in there, a complexity, and this curious, almost like citrus fruit, like lime or pine resin or something like that. So when we bought it, I was very keen to try and find some of that same stock and bottle it. So this was, I think, our first single year vintage. We followed that up with a 1975 vintage, and I don't know if any of you tried that. It was absolutely brutal in its intensity. It makes me think of drinking diesel oil, I have to say, whereas this is altogether much more my style of Ardbeg. So it's one of my favourites, and it's quite sought after these days.
Was this part of the core range or not?
No. This was always just a limited. The core range started off as 17-year-old because 17 years old was the youngest of the old stock. So it was 78, 79 and 1980 distillation, and then the distillery was closed right up until 89, and it wasn't until 2000 that we were able to bottle the oldest of the young stock, which was technically 1990. So that's when we introduced the 10-year-old. So no, this was always a limited release. I can't remember how many bottles there was, but it was something like 4,000 cases, something like that. It was fairly limited.
And when was it released?
That was released in 1998, and it probably was available for about a year, 2 years after that. Then we did the 75, and then we did a 77, which is a beautiful fudgy whiskey. A little anecdotal story that I live in a small village in the outskirts of Edinburgh now, and we do a lot of things for charity. I regularly do whiskey tastings, blah blah blah, and we were doing something for charity. I can't remember what charity it was, and I was travelling at the time, and I think I was in Japan, and I phoned my wife, and she said, "Oh Billy, a couple of guys from the village were around looking for a bottle to raise money." I said, "Okay." I said, "Which Ardbeg did you give them?" Because I knew she doesn't like Ardbeg. And she said, "Oh, I can't remember, it was 19. I thought, fuck. As soon as she said 19, I knew it was one of my very prized ones. It was a bottle of 1977 vintage she gave, and it raised about £5,000 for charity because we raffled those, so it was for a good cause. But I'm getting very thin in the ground now with my Ardbeg collection. So, Becky said, nothing's out of bounds, guys. There are no limits.
Wow, very good.
The only people that asked me difficult things were that one over there, but I knew they were going to.
So why are you not introducing to the market any new single casks, or very rarely?
There's very, very simple reason for that our new owners, Moet Hennessy, don't like the complexity of doing limited releases like that. Now I'm fighting because I'm always carrying out experiments, and sometimes I'm filling literally one or two unusual barrels, so there's plenty of nuggets in the warehouse there. I think the reality is we'll probably bottle it and have it only available at the distillery visitor centre.
You know that you are losing all the whiskey maniacs because we love Ardbeg.
I know. I know that it's absolutely not my decision to do that, and I would do it in an instant. And before I retire, I'm determined I'm going to reintroduce some single cask bottlings.
Let's keep our fingers.
I'm at that stage now that I don't give a fuck. They can fire me if they want.
Are you serious about it? Okay. Do you have any more 74s?
Yes. I do have some. I've got most of the years from the 1970s still in stock, and it's almost certain that we will release some of these as single cask bottlings or whatever.
You mean casks?
Yeah,
Casks.
I've still got. I can't remember the exact number, but three years ago I tasted a sample from every single 1970s cask I've got, and to my horror, quite a few of the barrels, my God, down less than half full, and 3 of them the strength was right down about 33%. So I actually put together a vatting of about 15 barrels to try and save that whiskey, and I got about 2,100 litre bottles out of that. So that whiskey, which is not quite 40 years old, it's about 39 years and 3 months, is sitting in glass, and we will do something with that at some stage, and that's a combination of 73, 74 and 75 whiskies in that.
I have to say I disagree with that, because it's true that the old single cask Stella, and I absolutely love them too, because I'm a peathead and I love the complexity.
Did you try that 76 down there?
Yes, as well. And I love the complexity, I love about the 76, I love that the peat is very restrained and very integrated, but I'm also a fan, so to say, I became a fan 5 years ago of the new Ardbeg as well.
Yeah.
Because it is true there's a big rift between the old times and the new times, but I think you still managed to carry on.
We've done the very best we possibly can to try and recreate.
I mean, the scarcity of the product.
I found that 76 downstairs is very, for me at least, very unusual. I tasted
It's very different to the other
I
ones
would
I've
never have picked it as an Ardbeg.
It's from a refill sherry cask, and it might even be a Fino cask. I can't remember, but that's a very particular product. Yeah.
Those were the times, and Stuart, that's the cask selection, I guess.
Stuart never did the cask selection. His name, I've always done the cask selection for all
His name was on the label.
This one.
That's marketing for you, yeah. I was reading with some amusement the tasting notes, because I thought, fuck, that guy could barely string 2 words together. He never wrote that. So
Well, I just thought he tasted all the casks.
yeah, well he did, yes, that was part of his downfall. That's why some of them were half empty. One day we were getting terrible performance, the spirit yields were plummeting, and I thought, what's going on here? So I phoned Stuart up and I said, right Stuart, you need to investigate this. So the first thing I said was, what's your grist analysis? Which is the consistency of the grind. And he said, what? He had no idea what I was talking about, and that's when I thought, we can't go on like this.
Just say 70, 20, 10. That's it.
But yeah,
It's terrible.
it is. I mean, I still see Stuart, and he's one of these guys that he just lives in his own wee world. He's
So what's your thoughts on the 21 has just been released?
Yeah.
So then that's, again, I haven't tasted it, so I don't know.
It's quite subtle. It's stock I actually bought back from Shivers. It was filled for Allied Domet, the former owners, and they've been very kind to us and sold us back a lot of the maturing stock.
A little bit of money.
When will you release the next Kildaltons?
You mean the next lightly peated one?
Yes, because I've tasted the cask samples.
Yeah.
Very
Change tables, guys.
That was
Any chance of
Change tables, please.